Minimalism isn't really about the stuff. It's much more about getting rid of the physical, mental, and emotional clutter in our lives to allow space for the things that are actually important to you. Today, we're going to talk about how to get started with minimalism. But first, before we do, I want to jump in and lay a little bit of groundwork. This is really important, and this is stuff that I kind of wish I knew 10 years ago when I got started with minimalism. What minimalism isn't. Many people totally miss the point of minimalism. They start heaping on a almost religious amount of rules and restrictions onto something that was never supposed to be so strict. There is no such thing as perfect minimalism. Minimalism is not a destination. It is a journey, or some people might say it is a lifestyle change. The point with minimalism is that it's supposed to grow and change with you as your life changes and as your needs change. There are no rules to minimalism. You don't need to live with less than 100 things. You don't need to travel the world with just a backpack, and you don't need to get rid of the things that you truly love. What minimalism is a tool that can help you find freedom. It can work for you no matter what stage of life you're in. Whether you're a single person living on your own, or maybe you have a family with kids, or somewhere in between. For me, this is what minimalism is all about. Less things to maintain, put away, keep clean. Less obligations on my time, my wallet, my mental health. Simple, not easy.
So I just realized while I'm out here that this is the first time in quite a while, just this morning, that I feel really grateful for what I get to do for a job. We as humans are very good at adapting to our situations, whatever that is, and weird becomes the normal. And just getting to go out and film beautiful things and tell stories as a job is totally ridiculous. So I'm really fortunate, and I just realized that this morning.
With that groundwork aside, let's get started with how to actually start with minimalism. Most people start with two things. First, they start with getting rid of, and second, they start with changing their consumption habits. That's what we're going to dive into today. Before we start madly cleaning and donating, we need to stop and figure out our why. The quote I just shared is my personal why for minimalism. Now for you, it might be something different. It might be a financial reason, a lifestyle reason, or you just want to spend less time cleaning. Either way, it's very important to have an important why to you, or else minimalism won't stick. For me, minimalism gives me a sense of control over my life and a sense of control over my space, and that results in an inner sense of peace and contentment. It's this idea that I'm in control of my stuff and my stuff isn't controlling me. Now let's dive into getting rid of. Now this is obviously the place that most people need to start because our lives are often overcluttered with consumer goods, things that aren't really important to us or meaningful to us. They're just things we have. Just knowing where to start can actually be really overwhelming. The good news is we don't need to get rid of everything right now. I know it feels like it, at least that's how it's always felt for me. Every time I've gone through a decluttering phase of minimalism is I feel like everything needs to go right now, immediately. And that can be really overwhelming. So I would say start really small. Maybe start with your wallet or one shelf in a closet or one junk drawer. And when that's done, then maybe you'll graduate to the whole closet or eventually a whole room. And eventually you'll get to the point where your whole home has been gone through. So in this process of decluttering, getting rid of some things will be very easy, and getting rid of other things will be a lot harder. My favorite method for determining if I should keep or get rid of a difficult item is the box in the basement method. So if there's something that I'm struggling with, should I keep this or should I get rid of it? It goes in a box in the basement with a date on it. Be that a month from now or 6 months from now. If the item is still in the box, if I haven't gone to get that item because I needed it or wanted it, then that item gets donated. Now, this is just one method for decluttering. There are things like the chaos method where you just dump everything in a pile and sort through it immediately. There's the minimalism game, there's Swedish death cleaning, there's KonMari, there's a bunch of different options out here. And so there's a good chance you'll be able to find a method that works really well for you. I'm going to talk for a minute about getting rid of things responsibly. So when you own an item, when an item is in your life, you are responsible for it. And I believe it is our jobs, if we own something, to get rid of it in an ethical and responsible way. So the easiest thing is just to toss it in the garbage, but that probably isn't the most ethical way. At least it shouldn't be our first choice. Ideally, we would consider donating that item, recycling that item, giving that item to a friend, and finally, if none of those apply to the item, then it can go in the garbage. This also makes me think twice about buying an item because I know at some point I will need to get rid of that item. Next, make it fun. I used to hate cleaning around the house, and whether it's decluttering or just maintenance cleaning, I have set aside fiction audiobooks just for when I'm doing manual labor around the house or I'm cleaning. And that has made the process so much more enjoyable. I look forward to listening to my audiobook, and the actual task at hand just seems like a thing I happen to be doing while my brain is occupied with the audiobook. My last tip on this getting rid of section is save the sentimental items for last, but with a caveat. If everything is sentimental, then nothing is sentimental. So be realistic with these sentimental items and deal with them last in the process. Also, last thought on this, if you live with someone, be it a partner or roommates or whatever, they don't have to be a minimalist for you to be able to be a minimalist and get rid of some things. But the clear thing is just get rid of your stuff. You can't get rid of the communal items unless everyone in the household is on board with it. My wife, Abby, is not a minimalist, and so we have a few more things around than I would like, but overall, she's compromised, and I've compromised, and we've come up with a home that we both really enjoy. Once you've gotten through this getting rid of phase, now we need to think about the stuff actually coming into our home on the other end, or else you'll be in a constant phase of just getting rid of, and if you're bringing in as many things as you're getting rid of, you're not actually making any progress. Getting rid of this consumption cycle can be very, very helpful in being content with what you have and being thankful for what you have. I know that has been one of the biggest benefits of minimalism for me. I'm not perfect at this, but I feel much more peaceful than if I'm constantly trying to chase the next consumer good. Here are a few methods you can try for minimizing your consumption. 1 in, 1 out. This really applies once you've gotten your home to a place where you like the amount of possessions you have. If you want to add something, then you need to get rid of something in its place. Second element here would be reduce your exposure to marketing materials. We see a ridiculous amount of advertisements every single day. And limiting our exposure to those in as many ways as we can really help us from wanting things that we actually don't need. Another fun option would be a no-buy day or a no-buy week or even a no-buy month. All of these are different challenges that you can implement in the short term to kind of help yourself get over a hump. The last element here is that I make myself wait to buy something. If it's something that would be an impulse purchase, I make myself wait 24 hours before buying that item. And if it's a bigger purchase over a certain dollar amount that you can set for yourself, I make myself wait 30 days. Now, this is a really helpful tool, and I realize that most of those impulse purchases I just don't end up making. And even many of those bigger purchases, I realize this is actually not that important to me. After a week or two, that feeling of needing that thing goes away, and I realize, hey, my life is great the way it is. Now, as you start going through this process over and over and over again of getting rid of a thing and making a decision of, do I want to keep this thing? Do I want to get rid of this thing? Or do I want to acquire this item and put in the necessary time, energy, and effort into cleaning, maintaining, upkeeping, and storing an item? You'll naturally start to apply minimalism to the other areas of your life. And this is where the real magic of minimalism comes in. Whether it's your schedule or your relationships or your approach to work, this is where you start designing a life on purpose, a life that actually aligns with the life that you want to be living. If you enjoyed this video, I think you should check out this video. It's about finding your personal values. This is a super important first step to minimalism and honestly self-improvement in general.